Let me tell you something most men never figure out until it's way too late. It's not the flowers, not the fancy dinners, not even the heartfelt words you think will win her over. What truly captivates a woman is how you see her. The way your presence makes her feel like herself more than she thought she could. And when you give the kind of compliment that doesn't chase her validation but reflects her deeper essence back to her, that's not game, that's power. Today I'm going to give you 8 compliments that don't just flatter. They awaken. They reach past the noise and touch something quiet inside her that most men will never notice. If you're the kind of man who's done with surface-level talk and ready to connect through clarity, confidence and presence, you're exactly where you should be. Before we begin, if this kind of grounded masculine wisdom speaks to you, subscribe now and consider joining as a member. We go deep here. Always have, always will. Now, let's talk about the words that don't just impress her, they haunt her in all the right ways. Number 1, you see things in a way most people don't. Let me tell you something that most men never realize. Perception is seduction. When a woman hears, you see things in a way most people don't, it hits her like a bolt of electricity. Why? Because suddenly you're not just another guy in the crowd trying to impress her with flashy words or hollow charm. You're a man who notices the unnoticed. You cut through the surface noise and tap directly into her experience of the world. That kind of compliment doesn't come from a place of flattery, it comes from depth. It tells her, I see the layers you've built to survive, and I recognize what's beneath them. And that recognition, that ability to mirror someone's complexity without trying to possess it, is rare. It's magnetic. Most people, especially in today's hyper-distracted world, only skim the surface. We scroll, swipe, nod, and move on. But when you look at a woman and say, you see things differently, you connect dots that others ignore. You pick up energy that most overlook. What she hears is, you're not invisible. And that's powerful, because deep down what everyone wants, even the most confident women, is to be seen, truly seen. But here's the twist, you're not saying it just to win her over. You're saying it because you mean it. Because you're the kind of man who observes patterns, who picks up on nuance, who listens when most people wait for their turn to talk. And when that truth leaves your mouth, it doesn't just flatter, it resonates. This kind of compliment doesn't lead with validation. It leads with insight. And that's what makes it different. That's what makes you different. When she feels that from you, she leans in, not because she wants your approval, but because she's curious what else you'll notice, what else you see. Think about this. Attraction isn't just about physical chemistry. It's about feeling understood. When you make someone feel like they're not crazy for seeing what they see, when you validate their internal world without trying to own it, that's a rare kind of intimacy, and it plants a seed, a quiet one that grows every time you show up, grounded, aware, and unshaken. But here's where most men go wrong. They hear this idea and they try to weaponize it. They say the words without living the truth behind them. They compliment her mind but stare at her body. They nod like they get it, but it's performative. And trust me, she knows the difference. So if you're going to say, you see things in a way most people don't, you better be that man who sees. The man who notices her shift in tone, the story she doesn't finish, the sadness behind the smile. You don't need to point it out, not always, but your stillness speaks louder than words. Your presence says, I'm not here to fix or chase, I'm here to witness. And in a world that moves fast, a man who slows down becomes unforgettable. Let me leave you with a reminder, you don't earn her heart by doing more, you earn it by noticing more. Because presence is power, awareness is attraction, and seeing her, truly seeing her, is the beginning of everything. Number 2. You make people feel comfortable just by being around them. Let's talk about one of the most underrated forms of attraction. Not the kind that hits you like lightning, but the kind that quietly melts resistance, comfort. You make people feel comfortable just by being around them. That's not just a compliment, it's a reflection of your inner gravity. It means your energy does something rare. In a world full of posturing and pretense, it puts people at ease. No forced smiles, no small talk, just presence. That's powerful. And for women, that comfort isn't boring, it's magnetic. Most guys confuse drama with desire, thinking they need to provoke or impress constantly. But the truth, women don't fall for tension, they fall into trust. When you're the kind of man who brings calm into the room, who doesn't need to dominate the space to command attention, who listens without rushing to respond, you become a safe place. And safety is sexy in ways surface-level charm can never replicate. Here's what most men miss. Making her feel comfortable isn't about agreeing with everything she says or always playing it nice. It's about being so grounded in who you are that she doesn't have to perform around you. She can exhale. She can drop the act. And when a woman can breathe around you, her guard slips. And that's when connection begins. Because comfort doesn't mean being passive. It means being steady. It means your presence says without needing to explain, "You're good here. You're not being judged. You don't need to impress me, I'm already paying attention." That level of emotional intelligence speaks louder than compliments ever could. Think about this when a woman reflects later and says, "There's just something about him, I don't know what it is. I just feel good around him." That's when you know you've hit that rare place most men never reach. You didn't have to talk about how confident you are. You didn't have to flaunt your career, your car, or your physique. Your energy did the talking. And that kind of comfort is what leads to trust, vulnerability, and intimacy. Not the fake kind, not the manipulated kind, but the real soul-level kind. Because let's be honest, how often do people really feel seen and accepted for who they are without having to fight for it? Here's the real secret though. You can't fake this. You can't fake calm. You can't pretend presence. You either do the internal work to become that steady flame in a chaotic world, or you keep chasing women who only respond to your surface but never stay for your soul. So if someone tells you, "You make people feel comfortable just by being around them," that means your stillness speaks. That means you're not trying to dominate the room, you're just being. And that beingness, it's rare, it's masculine, it's unforgettable. You're not the noise, you're the space between the noise. And in a world full of men who shout to be noticed, be the one she remembers because he didn't need to. Number 3. You're more powerful than you realize. Most men walk around thinking they're just average, just trying to make it through the day, paying bills, showing up to work, answering texts, doing what they're supposed to. But here's what you don't see, and what she sometimes sees before you ever do. When a woman tells you you're more powerful than you realize, she's not talking about your paycheck, your car, or the way you bench press at the gym. She's pointing at the quiet potential. You carry the kind of presence that can change a room without making a sound. Let's be real. Power isn't about dominance. It's not about being loud, aggressive, or controlling. It's about certainty. It's about clarity. It's about a man who knows who he is, even if the world hasn't caught up yet. And when she looks at you and says that line, "You're more powerful than you realize," what she's really doing is handing you the mirror you've been avoiding. Because here's the secret. Women are naturally intuitive. They pick up on energy, posture, subtle tones in your voice. They notice when your words and your spirit are out of alignment. And when you're walking through life half awake, they feel it. But when you start stepping into your own, when you stop second-guessing, stop waiting for permission, stop apologizing for your standards, that's when the shift happens. That's when the compliment starts sounding different. That's when she starts looking at you like you're the mountain she didn't know she needed to climb. And here's the twist. She wants that mountain. She wants a man who doesn't crumble at every inconvenience, who doesn't seek validation for every decision, who doesn't need her to prop him up because he's already rooted in who he is. So when she sees a glimpse of that strength in you, even if you haven't seen it yet, and she says, "You're more powerful than you realize," it's not just flattery, it's a dare, a challenge, an invitation to rise. You see, women fall for potential, but they stay for presence. They're drawn to the man who carries his power quietly, who doesn't perform, who doesn't peacock, but who commands respect without demanding it. If you're hearing this kind of compliment, don't brush it off. Sit with it. Ask yourself why it landed. What have you been hiding from? What part of your life have you been downplaying because the world told you to be humble, small, or quiet? Truth is, she might see more in you than you've ever allowed yourself to see. But here's the warning: if you ignore that compliment, if you fall back into the trap of playing small, of chasing approval, of pretending to be nice, instead of being real, you'll lose the very thing that made her curious about you in the first place. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be aware. Aware of your value, aware of your direction, aware that power, real power, starts from within. So take this moment to remember, you're not just a guy trying to make it through the week. You're a force she wants to believe in. But she can only believe in you if you believe in yourself first. And if you've ever had a woman look at you with that fire in her eyes and say, "You don't even know how powerful you are," don't take it lightly, because she's not guessing. She's seeing something real. Now take that power back. Use it. And if you've ever had this said to you, or if you know you've been sleeping on your own strength, comment down below, "I'm stepping into it." Let the world know you're done playing small. Number 4. There's something about you that makes silence feel good. Most people run from silence. They fill every gap in conversation with noise, words, jokes, nervous laughs, because they're afraid of what that silence might reveal. But then there's you. And with you, silence doesn't feel awkward. It doesn't feel like a void that needs fixing. It just is. It breathes. It calms. It connects. When a woman tells you, "There's something about you that makes silence feel good," that's one of the highest compliments you'll ever receive. What she's really saying is, "I feel safe around you. I feel seen, not just heard. I don't need to perform or impress. I can just be." This kind of presence is rare, and it's powerful. See, being a man who can hold silence isn't about being mysterious or aloof. It's about emotional grounding. It's about having nothing to prove, nothing to sell, and no fear of discomfort. It means you don't need to dominate the space you own it by how calmly you exist in it. Here's something women pick up on instantly. A man who is anxious in silence is usually a man who's anxious with himself. He's scrambling to keep attention, to validate his worth, to keep the vibe fun or interesting. But it's the man who can sit still, look her in the eyes, and not flinch at the quiet that man radiates control. And let's be honest, silence with someone you don't trust feels unbearable. But silence with someone who's sure of themselves, that's intimacy. It's in the moments between the words that real connection is born. Think about it. You're driving together at night. The music's soft. No one's talking. She glances over, and you're just there, grounded, not scrolling, not chatting to fill space. She exhales deeper than she has all week. That's the moment she realizes this man. He's different. You're not rushing the moment. You're not afraid of her thoughts. You're letting her arrive fully. There's something masculine, deeply masculine, about a man who doesn't run from quiet. Because silence tests who you really are when the distractions are gone. And when a woman senses that you're still solid, still you, in that space she leans in, not with words, with her energy, with her presence. And don't underestimate how rare this is in a world addicted to noise. You become the calm in her storm, the exhale she didn't know she needed. Here's the truth, women. Remember how they felt around you more than what you said to them. And if being near you made silence feel like peace instead of pressure, you've already imprinted on her in a way few ever will. So if you've ever been told that just being near you makes silence feel warm, safe, even beautiful, own that. That's not small, that's rare. It's a reflection of your self-possession, your emotional gravity, and your ability to create space without taking control. And if you haven't heard it yet, don't force it. Just work on being the kind of man who doesn't need to prove anything every second. Let your stillness speak louder than performance. Let your presence quiet her mind. She'll notice, she'll feel it, even if she can't explain it. And when she does, she might lean over one day after a long pause and say something like, "I don't know what it is, but with you even silence feels good." When that happens, don't chase the moment. Don't break it. Just smile. Stay still. Let the silence do what it's meant to. And if this speaks to you, if you've ever felt like your calm is your superpower, drop a comment below. I lead with presence. Let's see how many of you out there are done competing with noise and ready to master stillness. Number 5. You don't try to be different, you just are. There's something magnetic about a man who isn't trying to stand out, yet he does. He doesn't chase approval. He doesn't wear a mask. He walks into a room and doesn't try to prove anything. And that's exactly why people notice him. You don't try to be different, you just are. And that subtle difference, women feel it deeply. Because most men are performing, putting on a show to be liked, adjusting their personality to match the crowd, doing whatever it takes to get noticed. But when you're truly rooted in yourself, you stop chasing attention and start attracting it. It's not arrogance, it's not aloofness, it's authenticity. You know who you are. You're not playing a part, you're living your truth. And because of that, your energy carries a kind of quiet authority. People can't quite put their finger on it, but they feel it. Now, here's where this gets powerful. Women are wired to feel for congruence. That means they notice when a man's words, energy, and actions are aligned. When there's no gap between what he says and who he is. And when you're not trying to be different but just being you, radiate that congruence. You're not quoting someone else's lines. You're not borrowing confidence from clothes, cars, or social media. You're walking as you. And trust me, women feel that. It's like this. Imagine you're standing on solid ground while everyone else is fidgeting on quicksand. You don't need to dance or explain why your presence matters. The contrast speaks for itself. And here's the twist. When you stop trying to impress, that's when you're most impressive. Because it signals to her that you're not outcome dependent. You're not adjusting your identity for attraction. You're anchored in your value. That kind of man, he's rare. And it's not about being perfect. It's not about having every answer. It's about being real. The man who speaks when he has something to say. The man who listens without needing to interrupt. The man who could dress plain and still turn heads, not because of the clothes, but because of the calm behind his eyes. Being different isn't a tactic. It's a side effect of being unshakably yourself. You see, when you don't try to stand out, you allow your essence to do the talking. That means she's not just attracted to your words or looks, she's pulled in by your being. And that's what leaves a mark. Not the flashy pickup line, not the performance, but your stillness, your confidence, your unwillingness to bend who you are to win temporary approval. And here's what women will never say out loud, but they feel it in their core. The man who doesn't try to be different is usually the man who's already done the inner work. He doesn't need a crowd to validate him. He doesn't need to win her over. He simply shows up, fully, present, grounded. And in that energy she feels something she can't fake or force trust. So, if a woman has ever looked at you and said, "There's just something about you," that's what she's pointing at. She's trying to name the invisible thread of energy that makes you unforgettable. You don't try to be different, you just are. And in a world full of noise, masks and mimicry, that kind of realness doesn't just attract her, it frees her. So if this resonates, if you know in your core that you're not here to perform but to be, I want you to drop a comment below. Authenticity over everything. Let's see how many of you out there are living from your core instead of chasing attention. Number 6. You'd be dangerous if you ever realized how beautiful your mind is. Let's get real for a second. Most men are taught to downplay their thoughts, hide their curiosity, and suppress their inner genius. You're told to focus on doing, not thinking, to be strong, not deep. But here's the truth, most people won't tell you. Your mind, when fully unleashed, is your most dangerous weapon. And that's not a bad thing. You see, when a woman senses that your mind isn't just functioning, it's alive, she feels something she can't explain. Not because you're trying to impress her with trivia or recite quotes you barely understand. It's because there's a fire behind your eyes, a presence, a hunger. And that, my friend, is rare. Too many guys walk through life not realizing the power they're carrying upstairs. Not just intelligence, not just logic, but deep, creative, strategic, intuitive brilliance. It's not always loud, but it's always watching, processing, building. And when a woman catches a glimpse of it, it's electrifying. Because here's the deal, women are drawn to minds that challenge theirs, that stretch them, that see the world through a sharper lens. And when she sees that you're thinking 2 or 3 layers deeper than the average man without showing off or making it a game, you stand out, completely. You don't need to dominate every conversation. You don't need to speak first or loudest. Often it's your silence that speaks volumes. The way you look at things, the way you respond with precision instead of noise. That kind of mental presence, that's leadership, that's sex appeal. Let me be clear, this isn't about being a know-it-all. It's not about being a walking TED Talk. It's about owning the fact that you see things differently and letting that shape the way you move through the world. Because when you do, you become magnetic. Not because you're trying to be, but because you can't help but be. Think about this. How many men do you know who doubt their own brilliance, who silence themselves because they fear being too much or too intense? That ends now. If you have a mind that questions, that builds, that dreams bigger than the room you're standing in, that's a gift. Stop shrinking it. And to the man watching this, who's been told to tone it down, keep it simple, or just fit in, I'm talking directly to you. You're not meant to be safe. You're not meant to be average. You're meant to shape reality with your words, your vision, your ideas. The moment you realize how beautiful your mind is, you become unstoppable. That's when women don't just find you attractive. They respect you. They want to follow you. Because your mind isn't just turned on, it's on fire. And let's not pretend it's all about dating. This is bigger than that. A man who embraces the beauty and power of his mind becomes a force in every area of life. In business, in leadership, in fatherhood, in legacy. So here's the challenge. Stop waiting for the world to validate your brilliance. Own it. Let it show up in how you speak, how you listen, how you create, how you choose. And if that intimidates people, good. You weren't built to be forgettable. If anything in this hit home, I want you to drop this in the comments right now. My mind is my weapon, not for ego, but as a declaration. Let the world know you're done pretending to be average. You'd be dangerous if you ever realized how beautiful your mind is. Now, maybe it's time you did. Number 7. You remind me of someone I haven't met yet. Now that's a line that catches you off guard, doesn't it? Because it's not just a compliment, it's a portal, a doorway into the imagination. When a woman says this to you or thinks it, it means you've sparked something deeper than attraction. You've tapped into a mystery she can't quite define, and it pulls her in hard. Let's talk about what that actually means. When you remind someone of a person they haven't met yet, what they're really saying is that you evoke a fantasy they didn't realize they were carrying. You reflect back to them a story they've been telling themselves for years, silently, subconsciously. Maybe it's the image of a protector, a challenger, a deep soul who walks through life with an edge. You're not familiar, but you feel inevitable. That's powerful. And you didn't even need to try to be that man. It's not about pretending to be mysterious or acting aloof. It's about embodying something real, grounded, and self-directed. Women pick up on that. They sense when a man is living his life like he's on a journey with purpose, not to impress, not to chase validation, but because that's just who he is. Here's the kicker: you become that man when you start acting for yourself, not for attention. When your habits, your decisions, and your presence all come from inner clarity instead of external performance. When you have the guts to stand alone, to stay silent when noise would be easier, and to walk away from anything that cheapens your time. Think about the men who carry this kind of gravity. You don't know everything about them, that's the point. They don't overshare. They listen more than they speak. They move with intention, not anxiety. That presence alone makes people wonder, who is this guy? Where's he going? What has he lived through? Women feel that, and the feeling is magnetic, because now you're not just another face in the crowd. You're the plot twist, the unexpected chapter. And it doesn't come from some pickup trick or secret script. It comes from refining your internal world until your outer world can't help but reflect it. So what are the practical ways to unlock that kind of energy? 1. Stop explaining yourself. If she asks where you were, tell her. But don't apologize for living a life that existed before she entered it. 2. Don't always fill the silence. Let quiet moments breathe. When you don't rush to fill the gap, it shows you're not uncomfortable with yourself. 3. Invest in your own story. Spend time developing your passions, your mind, your mission, not because it makes you attractive, but because it makes you whole. 4. Stay a little unpredictable. Routine makes people feel safe, but unpredictability in doses creates tension, not drama. Tension. And tension creates spark. Now, before we move forward, take a second to reflect. Has anyone ever looked at you with that mix of confusion and fascination, like they know they should have met you long ago but didn't? If not yet, don't worry. Because that energy isn't some magical accident. It's built. And the building starts now. So here's your moment. Drop a comment below and let the world know you're not here to blend in. Just say it. I was born to stand out. Because someone out there, maybe her, is already dreaming about a man she hasn't met yet. And if you stay on this path, she'll find you. Number 8. You walk like you own the story no one else has read. Let's break that down. Because that line, it's not just poetry, it's presence. It's the way you carry yourself, not in arrogance, not in swagger, but with quiet certainty. Like your life has meaning. Like every step is a page, every look a sentence, and no one gets to skip ahead in your story. That kind of walk doesn't come from rehearsing confidence. It comes from living it. And believe me, women see it. More than that, they feel it. Because when a man moves like he's living a life that means something, like he's deep in a mission no one else fully understands, he becomes fascinating. Why? Because he's not trying to be seen. He already sees himself. Let's be real. Most people walk through life reacting. head down, shoulders heavy, hoping to be told who they are and what they're worth. But then someone walks into the room with no need to announce himself, and suddenly everything shifts. That's you. That can be you. When you walk like you own a story no one else has read, it means you're grounded in experiences that shaped you, lessons that broke you and rebuilt you, beliefs you earned, not borrowed. That kind of presence tells a woman, this man knows who he is, and he's not waiting for me or anyone else to complete his story. And you know what that does? It creates a gravitational pull. It's not charm, it's not game, it's depth. Let's go even deeper. This is about body language, yes, but it's also about the energy behind it. You want to change how you walk, then change what you believe about yourself. Because your gait, your posture, your eye contact, it's all downstream from identity. So let's build that from the inside out. 1. Reclaim your story. Own every part of your past, not just the highlights. Women can tell when a man has made peace with his pain. That peace reads like confidence. 2. Protect your energy. Don't explain your worth. Don't chase validation. Move in alignment with your values and let your actions speak louder than your lips. 3. Let mystery work in your favor. You don't have to overshare. Let people ask. Let them lean in. Let her wonder. 4. Cultivate stillness. Don't rush. Don't chase. You don't need to prove anything. Let the world adjust to your pace. 5. Stay in your body. Confidence isn't in your head, it's in your breath, your spine, your stride. When you walk, do it like your story is unfolding with every step. Here's the part most guys miss. Women aren't looking for a man who's already figured it all out. They're drawn to the man who's clearly on a path with purpose, with poise, with presence. They're drawn to the feeling of being invited into a world that existed before them and will continue with or without them. That's the man who becomes unforgettable, not because of what he gives, but because of what he carries. And if you're listening to this thinking, that's not me, let me stop you right there. That energy, it's not exclusive, it's cultivated. Every day, with every decision, every step you take is a choice to walk in alignment with your highest self or to stay trapped in someone else's narrative. So, here's what I want you to do right now. Pause and ask yourself, what story am I walking in? Whose words am I carrying? Then drop a comment below that reminds the world who's writing your next chapter. Just say this, I walk like my story matters. Because if you do that, if you live that, there's not a woman alive who won't feel it the second you enter the room. Number 9. Your voice makes her feel even when you say nothing. Let's talk about power, the kind that doesn't shout, doesn't demand and doesn't chase, the kind that lives in your voice. Not just the words you use, but how you use them. The tone, the rhythm, the calm in it. Because when you speak with presence, or even when you sit in silence with presence, she feels it. And that's rare. Most guys think communication is about what they say. But a man who understands silence, a man whose voice carries certainty, not desperation, that man leaves a mark without trying. When your voice is grounded, slow, calm, intentional, it doesn't just deliver words, it delivers safety. It says, I'm not here to impress, I'm here because I belong. That's the energy women lean into. It's what makes them soften, open, trust. And here's the twist, it's not about being loud, it's about resonance. A voice that resonates is born from a man who listens more than he speaks, who breathes before he reacts, who means what he says and never says what he doesn't mean. You know the type. He can walk into a room, say 3 words, and suddenly every woman wants to hear the 4th. Because the silence between those words, it's electric. That's not charisma, it's internal alignment. If you've ever had a woman say, I love your voice, She's not talking about pitch. She's talking about presence. She's talking about the way you make her feel, with just your tone, your steadiness, your intention. Here's how to build that kind of voice. 1. Slow down. Speed is insecurity in disguise. A man who's not rushing is a man who's not afraid to take up space. 2. Lower your tone, not artificially but naturally. Speak from your chest, not your throat. Confidence is felt in the depth, not the volume. 3. Pause. Let your words breathe. Silence isn't awkward, it's powerful when you own it. 4. Speak less, mean more. Don't fill space with fluff. When you talk, let it matter. Women don't remember everything you say, they remember how it made them feel. 5. Read, think, reflect. A sharp mind builds a sharp voice. Your thoughts shape your words shape your impact. The truth is, a woman can tell everything about a man by how he speaks. Whether he's grounded, whether he's reactive, whether he's hiding, your voice exposes your frame. So the next time you talk to her or anyone, ask yourself, am I speaking from strength or from seeking? Taste. There's a big difference. And sometimes you don't even need to speak. Your silence can say it all. If you're present, calm, unbothered, that alone is louder than 1,000 anxious sentences. She hears the steadiness, she feels the confidence, and whether she admits it or not, it draws her in. So if you're watching this and you've been wondering why some men make an impression without saying much, it's this. It's the voice, the vibe, the grounded energy that doesn't need approval to speak or silence to retreat. You already have the voice. You just need to clear the noise that's been covering it. Stop explaining. Stop convincing. Start speaking with weight, or don't speak at all. And if you're still with me right now, drop this in the comments. My voice is my presence. Because when you own that truth, when your voice matches your energy, she'll hear it even when you're silent. So now you know what truly captivates a woman isn't surface-level charm. It's not fancy lines or flashy moves. It's presence, polarity, intention. A man who lives what he believes. A man who speaks less but means more. Who walks into a room not to be chosen, but to choose. And if something clicked for you in this video, don't let it be a passing thought. Own it. Embody it. Because real change doesn't come from knowing, it comes from becoming. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop in the comments, I am becoming undeniable. Say it loud. Say it clear. That's not just a statement, it's a commitment. And if you felt like this video spoke directly to where you are right now, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that subscribe button. Join the channel as a member. We're building something here, something real, something unfiltered, something that actually helps men level up from the inside out. Because this journey, it's not for the weak. It's for the few who are done pretending, done pleasing, done shrinking. You're here because deep down you know there's more to you than what the world has seen. Let's bring it out. Until next time, walk with presence, speak with weight, and never forget she doesn't fall for who you pretend to be. She falls for who you are when you stop pretending.